All right, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Aksa Tariq and I represent the CXO Media Properties as their editor-in-chief. On behalf of my entire editorial and content team, I'd like to welcome you all to today's CXO Masters Academy session called CXO WatchTower Fireside. Today's fireside chat is with two distinguished gentlemen who've been working in the industry for more than 2 decades now. In fact, they bring in a lot of expertise in various areas. And we wanted to particularly discuss what digital transformation challenges they have overcome or are still sort of working on navigating within their organizations, the digital transformation challenges that have arisen. This session particularly, of course, is talking about transform today, control tomorrow, which is something that's been close to our heart, especially given that COVID has really put the IT departments in focus as it has never been before. We've been having conversations with CIOs for many, many years now. However, I think it took a significant bump in the last 2 years. And we are excited to, of course, learn from or hear insights from people like you, who've been in the field, who've been on the battleground, as we can call it now, especially due to all the challenges that have come up. With this, I'd like to firstly, of course, introduce and formally welcome our panelists for today. We have Mr. Moin, who is the head of IT at PSO Pakistan. He's been working there since 2003, so I believe he's completing 2 decades here next year. And he's been a technology and business veteran for over 30 years with specialization in solving, some of the most complex problems of various industries. So he has a background in financial, technological acumen, and also a commercial track record. We'll hear more from him as he introduces himself and takes it forward. But I'd also like to call in here Mr. Sayyed Shahab Ahmed. He's the head of IT at ICI Pakistan. He's also a certified technology industry leader and is also a research faculty member. Something which is very interesting to us, because as we try and work on insights and to extract what's really happening in the industry and trying to navigate the digital transformation trends that exist locally, it's important for us to learn from people like him, who, of course, bring that strong digital transformation background as a strategist, as a communicator, and also a relationship builder who brings his digital acumen to facilitate business growth. We've seen the last 2 years have been challenging for everyone, but we'll have, both of them talk about their own work and particular milestones. So Moin Sab, if we can start with you.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very grateful that you are conducting this panel discussion. As you have said that I've started my
career. Sorry, I believe Moin Sab is...
Yeah. I started my career in 1992. So I started off with the FMCG. Back those days, implementing ERP was the biggest challenge of every company. So until 2003 or 2005, I was just implementing the new ERPs, whether it be Oracle or whether it be Oracle Financials or Oracle ERP or SAP ERP. That was the only thing that companies used to do, and I was doing that exactly. Then when I joined PSO, it also had that same story. It was implementing SAP. We started off with SAP, and but in PSO, I realized that implementing SAP won't help PSO that much. It has to transform itself. There are multiple sources of information that are coming. They are lying in silos that need to come in, and consolidation needs to takes place. So what we did was we created a digital transformation plan for PSO, and in which we would encompass every aspect of the company and connect it. And each would become as a data source. The interconnectivity and the relationship of the data combining together but it does not give the relationship what is happening on the ground. Like since I work in PSO, I could give an example of PSO. We've got our terminals and depots, and we've got our retail stations. So when we are fueling filling up our tank lorry, we need to know what is the flow rate, what is happening over there, how much is the queuing time, and we know how much we have to operate. if you know the queue time, the average time. So that information was missing. That doesn't come in our ERP. ERP comes in that we have received the stock, we have dispensed the stock, but the in-between information that has to come from IoT devices doesn't come out. So we made a plan that we need to have those information that comes out the field. Now, similarly, of retail stations, we don't know actually what happens with our sales when it reaches that stations. So how is the sale? Like if, for example, right now, if you know, in Pakistan, there's a talk of subsidy. So if we don't know how many 3 liters buyers are, 5 liters buyers are, so we can't give target subsidy to those customers. So what we did, we have to know from the each nozzle supply that we do to give target subsidy if the government wants to do it, that how much are those small buyers are, how much are the large buyers are. So now everything, even if you go to our customers, that has also made our integration complex. You have to integrate with all the banks in Pakistan. If customer wants to make payment from all the banks, now it's not one bank, two bank, three bank. It has to be from one link also. It has to be from major banks also. So over there, like a bank, we have to give all the facilities that a bank gives to a customer when he orders a product. Similarly, you have to give similar services to our vendors. So now it's an ecosystem that we are working. It's not a single ERP that we are working in. So we have embarked on a digital transformation plan. We would extract maximum information from all the sources that we find, and we would then encapsulate them and present them for better decision making. So this is just a small that I would like to add.
Thank you. So Shahab, over to you. If you could just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the work that you're currently doing at ICL.
Thank you so much, Aksa. So Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Sayyed Shahab Ahmed. I was working with the ICI Pakistan Limited in role of head of IT Karachi. Before that, I was working with Pakistan Petroleum Limited for over a whole decade. And before that, I started my career from mobile application development organization. It was actually my start of my career, from where actually I started as a mobile application developer for Windows mobile applications. So as far as digital transformation journey is concerned, I'll start from PPL, where we implemented our first Pakistan's hybrid cloud, Microsoft's hybrid cloud, back in 2012. And it was actually the real start of digital transformation journey for me. When we implemented that cloud for oil and gas sector, it was the very first implementation of Pakistan, which lately Microsoft published as a case study in the very next year from Pakistan. And in that specific project, we actually migrated around 800 plus users from on-premises to Office 365, and had an experience of hybrid implementation. After that, after 2 years, we implemented a private cloud. Again, it was the first implementation of private cloud of Microsoft in oil and gas sector in Pakistan. And again, Microsoft marked it as a success story, marked it as a case study, which is actually my second case study of cloud, and Microsoft published it in 2015-16. So in that specific private cloud, we actually transformed the whole infrastructure and landscape of PPL, the data center of PPL, into 2 sites with a RTO and an RPO of around 5 minutes and 30 minutes respectively. And in the same project, later on, we implemented our modern DR site, the disaster recovery site, the BCP site, which was actually at a very different geographical location where our whole infrastructure can move within 10 to 15 minutes. And we did very successful DR drills using that specific private cloud, which was actually kind of a state of the art thing at that specific point of time. So later on, I moved to ICI Pakistan Limited, and there I started the data analytics journey, the migration of cloud assignments, where we started the we started the rollout of data analytics, modern data analytics tool. We transformed the typical IT department into a modern workplace. And thanks to COVID, who really helped us to transform the typical old school IT department into a modern workplace and with a very improved customer experience. So that's it about my digital transformation journey for right now.
Thank you. And so some of the themes that I've obviously picked up from your own introduction, as well as what we wanted to discuss today, while every organization and industry vertical, especially because both of you have had a vast industry vertical, multiple industry vertical experience, generally digital transformation, is characterized across like three things. Of course, it's efficiency and it's, bringing in that transparency, but it's also how you engage and interact with your customers, how you leverage and do business with your supply chain, and how you maintain your operations, to keep the business running and keep the lights on. That's something that really COVID had really centralized as essential and non-essential businesses that could just not afford to shut down at all. And, a lot of businesses, small or large, have experienced or faced that. I'd like you to share, some of the experiences of how your organization has been impacted in these three areas, or if there are any others that have been impacted because of digital transformation.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, COVID was actually a blessing
for Shahab.
Sir.
No, you please continue. Shahab, continue, please.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Minsa. So it was actually a blessing for us because it actually provided us an opportunity to actually transform the technology concept and to actually inject the technology in the roots of our business. So as I mentioned, when COVID came to Pakistan, we started experiencing it. I was part of ICI, and ICI is a group of 6 different businesses. All 6 are operating in 6 different streams. So I can quote one quick example here. I remember we were about to start the project of implementation of Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Teams is kind of a communication tool between the teams who is actually located at different geographical location. And what we did, we just conducted probably 2 sessions with our end users, and that's it. And rest of the transformation, rest of the learning has been done from my end users. So that's something which was very interesting, which is a new experience for me as well. As far as customer experience is concerned, my management's faith on technology is concerned, it has been increased, because before that, probably as I always mention, people used to consider IT as an expense head only, that these are the guys जिनको सिर्फ पैसा चाहिए हमेशा, and they are just expending the amount without doing anything great. So that COVID was a blessing for us. People realized how we are actually supporting them to work from home while they are working from home without any getting into any further hassle. How actually fortunately we were actually ready when it comes to work from home, and when it comes to the working from remote locations, we were already it was actually already in our plans. So COVID was again a blessing, and that's how actually we turned the game into our favor.
So Moin sahab, I'll pose the same question to you, but I do want to try.
I just want to add what Shahab has said. Being PSO, being a public sector organization, for good governance, we don't want people-to-people contact, especially customers, vendors, staff, right? So before, the concept was, it was not that much clear that if we eliminate the middle person of our organization that has to interact with the customer and the vendor, and a simple application takes the role over, it was very difficult to explain. But what happened was, when COVID came in, that was a necessity. And customer had to order through application, vendor had to take participate in a tender through application. So it was a blessing for us. And even for customers were forced to learn about that application, and they had to first using that and ordering through that application. taking their accounts, about their details about their accounts, their outstanding, their payables, their receivables. And similarly, case came from the vendors. What we had been trying to do in the past was to introduce these applications, but they were not becoming business critical. For after COVID, all these applications became business critical, and we also realized that we could do away with the staff interaction and run these applications, and the customer doesn't need to come to our premises to order, or the supplier doesn't need to come to our premises to submit a tender. So it was a blessing in disguise. It made the vendors and the customers also learn about the application, and they also realized that these are business critical to them also, as to us, that now we can't even 2 minutes, and that is become very difficult for IT to maintain continuous uptime every year, because customers are working 24/7. Similar are our vendors. So that has increased the challenge. It has increased the usage of IT and its applications, and has increased our footprint, but it has also stressed to our existing infrastructure. We have invested, and as Shahab said, we are using a hybrid approach where applicable. But as you know that cloud infrastructure is gradually developing in Pakistan, the reliance, the policies. Right now, we don't have the government policies or protection of data that are coming in, but gradually. But these need to come. And similarly, the service providers in Pakistan have to come up before going to the cloud network. But what it has made is usage, it has increased tremendously. And it has not gone down after COVID. As COVID has gone down, the cases have reduced, but the application usage is still there. It is increasing day by day. Okay.
And so I'd like to know more about, are there any external drivers that have impacted your digital transformation journey? And I know that, the journey for each of you in your organizations had started way before COVID made its way. I think COVID, as Shahab said, I think it's been a blessing in disguise for most people working in the IT industry. But what have you done differently as a result of any external drivers?
The other driver was our management, the board chairman and the managing director. I must appreciate their role. They never refuse any budget requirement that I ask them. They don't even go into the details what I ask them. They are very helpful, even in pushing the others that have to implement those applications, the business users, and in case of budget also. They have been very forthcoming, and I think because of these support from the management also, their projects. If you are getting the top management supports, you are able to implement these projects, and these are successes. I can just in last 1 year, I have implemented about 6 or 7 major applications I don't want to name like Ariba, Vim. There are about 6 or 7 major applications that have transformed our business, way of doing our business. So and supplemented the already ERP solution that we have. We made several mobile applications that are being used by our staff, by our customers. So they have been forthcoming. Since you are aware that in digital transformation, even apart from IT, the area of investment like terminals and depots, in terms of IT, it's very expensive. It's very capital intensive to add these devices like flow meters that are able to connect to the IT, and they are IoT devices. So analog devices are not expensive, but the digital devices in these areas are very expensive. So, and heavy capital investments have to be done, and without the management's support, both capital and their direction, digital transformations are difficult to achieve. So that's one area. Second area is that they realize that to achieve good governance, you need to reduce, as I've said earlier, people-to-people contact, and it has to be application contact. they should not know who is behind these applications, and it should work like a system. So that was the second motivation. It is a motivation for public sector entity, especially. Like everything should go through the system, and system should give the outputs, not human based or human dependent. And third is like in competitors. If your competitor, you have to be ahead of your competitors. If you have maximum input coming in from your depots and from your retail outlets, you are ahead what's happening in because you have got online information about what's like I can give you right now, if you don't manage your fuel rightly, or the imports that you're managing, and you don't have tools to manage that, you can't manage it in the current situation. You need to have forecasting tools that are intelligent enough, that take inputs from every take input from the local sales, Reuters sales, competitor sales, and give you a business plan that this is how much inventory you need to bring in. So those decisions are also being taken by these applications, these dashboards that we have created. So it's a changed world now. I think it's no more that it's a luxury. These are critical business applications.
And I think this goes really well with, some of the IDC predictions that I also wanted to bring up in our discussion today, that they will really reset, cloud selection processes to focus on business outcomes rather than just IT requirements, where I think we've sort of as an industry also surpassed that need, and we need to be accessing, value access to providers' portfolios from device edge to, data to ecosystem. So I think it's a change in the right direction. Shahab, if you'd like to add something to this with regards to external drivers that have worked, or how you've catered to it differently within your organization.
Sure. So some other external factors which I feel which actually help us is the best part with respect to the resources. If I'll start with the human resource first, the technical resource first. We found that our young blood who is coming into the industry, they are actually more towards the ventures which are more digitally centric. So if I talk about the young, since I'm affiliated with academia as well, so I have a very close eye on academia and this industry bridge as well. So when I look at the new grads, they are more into the organizations like Careem, Food Panda, Balkhi. So probably they are less interested about the legacy organization. I would like Vabda mein jana hai after graduation, right? So they are like, no, I'm more happy with Careem. Probably I'm more happy with the data centric organization, the organizations which are working on industry 4.0 revolution, organizations which are based on machine learning or AI type stuff. So these new guys who are coming to the industry, they are already trained and they are already tilting towards the digital transformation part. So the best part which I got from the academy is that I got the exact required resources who had already the mind of digital transformation. And for me, it's just to give them the right tool, the right opportunity, and they are doing miracles for me. So the external factor, if I'll prioritize the talent which we are generating right now. Although we have talent gaps, it's a separate discussion, but the fresh blood which is coming into the organization, they all are digitally savvy, and they are very much willing to go and transform these kind of new initiatives. One. Second is user acceptance. So if I'll talk about my internal user, my customer, probably before COVID, people was less interested towards third-party integrations, towards system integrations, towards availability of their system outside the premises. But after COVID, they realized now this is no more a fantasy. It's actually, it could be our bread and butter. It could be something which is no more nice to have. It is something which is actually mandatory to have, because we should be prepared. We should be well and in prepared state for any second disaster or any similar kind of a situation. which we may face globally. So I found that after this whole experience, when I talked to my management, as like just Moin Saab mentioned, we got extraordinary support during COVID and post-COVID. And when I talk to my distributors, I talk to my customer, they are now all okay to integrate their system with my system. They are all okay to follow my compliance because they know if they will not go in this direction, probably maybe they will lose their market share, or probably they will lose their business with respect to exact organization. So these are few pillars, I guess, which actually helped us in terms of external factors to drive this digital transformation thing.
Thank you. And in addition to this, I'd also like you to sort of highlight, IDC also predicts that 80% of enterprises, and you also both talked about data, you talked about AI assisted or, cloud linked governance services to manage, optimize, and secure, of course, the data that's coming in. However, it's also predicted that by next year, 70% will not be able to achieve full value due to IT skills mismatch. And Shahab, especially you, I'd like you to start this off because you work with the academia side of things as well, and you're closely linked in that skill matchmaking, right? So how do you see in your own roles as well as your personal capacity, because I know both of you have been involved in industry initiatives as well. So I'd love to hear from you on that.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So this talent gap is still very huge, and we are looking forward that it will become more huge in upcoming months or years. And there are serious reasons. So a few days back, I was in a discussion at a forum, and I mentioned that if I talk 10 years back, probably our tech industry was fighting against Middle East and probably European region. Those who learned something, those who know these initiatives, or those who knew the technology, सबसे पहले वो फ्लाई करता था मिडिल ईस्ट बिकॉज उसको वहां से डॉलर दिरहम मिल रहा है which our industry cannot compete right now. And those who are much better than that specific range, probably they will take the immigration or वो यूरोप कनाडा मूव कर जाए. Right now, my challenge is not neither Middle East nor the Europe or Canadian side. My challenge, being the person who's sitting in corporate, who has all his career in corporate sector, my challenge is these startups. These startups are a more fancy zone for these young bloods who are coming into the industry, because they know the corporate cycle, the corporate career will be smooth, will maybe slow with respect to Gen Z, but these fast food generation are more towards more to run their professional career into the fourth gear so that they can get maximum stuff as soon as possible. And for these kind of momentum, they are more towards these startups. Second, as far as the skill set is concerned, they are more so. If I'll talk about IBA, with whom I'm affiliated, if I talk about the final year class of IBA, if I talk to any student, they are by default interested in data science, AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and probably blockchain, right? Stuff like that. But if I talk about, if I talk to your maybe information security, but if I talk to the same student about mobile application development or typical the web application development, probably they are not going towards this direction right now. For them, these kind of the legacy thing, these are old-fashioned thoughts, and we are more towards these new tech and high stuff. This is something which is creating certain serious gaps, because if I talk about my team, I still need web application developers. I still need infrastructure resources. I still need people who look after my customer support, who will look after, who will take care of my user experience. I still need people. I need good resources, not the second or third rate resources for these domain. And unfortunately, it's a dilemma of our industry as well. We got maybe a class B resources in these kind of domain later on, because all class A resources will opt for data science, for machine learning, for blockchain type of stuff, and we'll get those जिनको और कहीं पे opportunity probably नहीं मिली होती. So this is kind of a talent gap which I am foreseeing in upcoming maybe year or two, and we seriously need to look into it to just fill out the gap as soon as possible.
So, Moin Saab, is there something you'd like to add to this?
Yes, I agree with what Shahab has said about the talent. Just want to add, supplement what he has said. Like he's right. Now there's the area of specialization, like they pick up a special niche and they work their career according to those needs, like blockchain or other needs. Like, and the problem with people like us who are managing IT departments, they don't have full stack resources. Like if we've got developers, they don't have business knowledge, and if we have the business analysts, they don't have. So if we have to integrate with clouds, we don't have specialists that would integrate with cloud systems. We've got developers and APAPers, as Shahab has said, in his team, but full person with full knowledge of all these systems that are very handy, like who know everything. The combination of all-rounders, a team as an all-rounder, that I find missing in my team. People work in silos. I have to, like, an example that I can give yesterday was that we were integrating with another system in terminal management with SAP. So we had changed the XML message, and the user did the testing, but there was a difference between the XML message that the IoT device used to accept. So I asked him that they said we did the testing, but I told him, well, who matched the XML with that is acceptable to that IoT device? So there was no answer that who did that. So those kinds of issues come in, like when we have got multitudes of systems, each other system, and you have to integrate with the systems. We have got experts in one system, but the other one is not an expert in its system. When we are integrating and we are consolidating those applications, we don't have the resource skill to manage that challenge. And the staff turnover, to manage the staff turnover, we have taken a new approach. We get hired developers, and even now even for basis administrators, we would go to the software houses and go get hired resources, and not directly hiring our resources through employment, because there is a very high turnover, and we can't hire every month or every 2-3 months. So we have to take a different approach. And there also even the software houses and the consulting houses are also struggling because of the demand that has come in. Shahab was right, and I would say that now you don't need a person to go and join a corporate. He has got opportunities available that he can do work from home and do work from any company worldwide. And he can do coding, he can be an analyst, he can do anything. And you don't need to be migrating to that country, and you can earn in dollars and in dirhams working from your home. So they're getting those opportunities that we cannot match. I was just asking, there were about 2-3 people that are leaving. Some are leaving for educational needs in Australia or those countries. Some are getting jobs, and some are getting online jobs that are far more lucrative than traditional jobs.
So I think while that remains a challenge, there's also one area, or the flip side of digital transformation, is the risk that comes in terms of cybersecurity. The threat environment, of course, it just keeps scaling, and especially because recently, just now, both of you talked about, the work from anywhere culture and giving more and more autonomy to your user, to your customer, to your employees and your team. And think that hybrid workforce has, presented challenges which I think most of us have not been able to forecast the way it has been, right? And Pakistan has been a victim to, I think, multiple industries, whether it's the financial industry, whether it's public sector, whether it's private sector. We've seen small and large cases really come about in the recent past. How do you see this? And especially because, in regulated industries, it is mandatory, of course, to have a CISO role and a CISO department. However, the same does not apply to private sector or a lot of public sector institutions. So in this case, how does your role fit into this? Because at the end of the day, if anything goes down, it does come on your head. However, it doesn't really directly, fall under your role as well. So this is, I know, a two-part sort of response from your end, but over to you, and would like to hear your thoughts on it.
Shahab Shahab, should I answer or Shahab?
Please, sir. Please, you start, please.
Yeah, you can start. Yeah, you have more expertise in this.
No, sir, you can please. I'm happy to listen.
Please do.
Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you. So it's a very, very important area when it comes to digital transformation. It take a number of years to create your market reputation, your goodwill in terms of organization, in technology world, in digital world, and all you need is just one ransomware attack, and it will demolish all the goodwill or the brand value which we have created over a span of last many years, right? And we've actually experienced it in last 5-10 years for many organizations in Pakistan, especially who are in energy sector, who are in financial sector. When it comes to financial, it's a very, very common news now that on every second day we come to know that Fala bank's ATM cards has been breached and some transaction has been done from the. So yeah, that's something very important, because whenever you will digitalize, whenever you will expose, when you will go public, there's a they both are directly proportional. So the chances will obviously increase to get penetrated and get breached, because you will get more vulnerable. So when it comes to the security part, the best side of this whole story is that now people are taking security as a serious and separate and qualified domain. So again, if I'll go back around 10 years back, probably it was nice to have thing, but now when it comes to mid-sized organizations as well, they are considering security as a lifeline for them. So they are in for organizations around 5 years or 10 years back, for information security, one good antivirus was like good enough. But now people know what's the importance of SIEM solution, what's the importance of PAM solution, how much web access application firewall is important, what's the importance of having the demilitarized zone and stuff like that, right? And when it comes to even the endpoints or antiviruses or your internal security, what is their importance? And not only the tech users, not only the digital leaders, not only the technical leaders, technology leaders, but the higher management as well. If I'll recall, if I'll go just 5 years back, and probably I'll go to my management and ask them to give me budget for antivirus, probably they will ask me 10 odd questions. And I, being the technology person, I supposed to responding, but I go to them and ask for the budget for the XYZ kind of a security product, which is actually a high-end product, and I may need many thousand USD to invest for that specific product for at least next 3 to 5 years. They are very much okay, because they know the ROI of that product. They know if we will not plant this product at the right time in our landscape, probably the disaster, the breach, the loss will be way higher than the expectation. So yeah, there are pros and cons. As much as we will digitalize, we will have low end. We will actually lose the security. But on the other hand, now we are taking it as a complete domain. We are taking initiatives on it, and being organizations, now we are willing to invest on security. We are willing to invest on our security people. We are willing to create our security wings and taking security on a very prime line.
I would second what Shahab has said. And earlier, about 4 or 5 years, we used to go in, like firewall would be the only thing that we would be concerned about. Now we have to acquire managed defense response, MDRs or XDRs, and those kinds of tools, and application firewalls also, which were not considered earlier. Second, the threat is, there are 2 types of threats that are critical through cyber threats. One is the loss of reputation, and the other is the business discontinuity. So both these challenges are so much of a risk for any organization that they need specialization or a specialization like a CXO and a specialized department to address, and even they should be independent of the IT control so that they can work independently, and they manage those tools. And if they are not independent, like people don't take the security seriously. So there's a cultural need also for a transformation, a cultural transformation, to see that these are threats and they need to be more careful, especially like the organization users, I would say, because the front-facing customers or vendors, you already have a secure connection, but the internal users, I think, they have to change culturally. And if our organization applies a policy level, they should have to adopt that and accept that it is a necessity that we are blocking sites, we are not allowing USBs, we are allowing we have data leakage prevention policies, all those policies that we are applying to the internal user. They have to accept that these policies are not to hamper what they're doing or to hamper their work, but it is for the organization's continuity and data integrity and data security. So it needs support of everyone, and it is a specialized area. You need a specialized section though to address that. Just want to add.
Points up two things that you sort of touched upon. I'd like you to sort of elaborate. One is because this is not just restricted or limited to the IT department, right? It's cross organization. It goes through operations, it goes through marketing, it goes through any other department that exists. How closely within your roles are you guys currently working with the C-suite to really sort of, make sure that it becomes a part of the organization DNA? Because as you said, it is about organization integrity, it's about data integrity, it's about business continuity. So there are multiple things that we need to look at as the endpoint for it.
So what we had, as you have said, Shahab has said, like the management is more they are more receivable now to these threats, and we had gone to our management and the board, and we have invested a lot recently, and we also have asked the management to help us in changing the organization culture also, so that if we don't change the organization's culture and the users are not cooperative or not adopting those policies, and if with the advent of a smartphone, it is becoming more challenging for us for data leakage prevention and other areas. So the data leakage prevention has to also apply on the mobile phone that we are giving to the user, or the smartphone that we are giving to the user. We have to apply on the laptop that we are going to the user. The laptop and the smartphone would be a challenge, because they may consider interference in their private. We may be entering in their private domains. So there's a mix and match that we have to consider, and we have to consider the sensitivities now. That is a challenge for us, because when we go hard, like employ rigid policy, then we get a reaction. Even sometimes the area departmental heads given to their users that they cannot operate like this. But gradually there's a mix and match, and unfortunately we have to apply these policies rigidly to protect the organization. We become unpopular, but that has to be done. So I would add that the management and the board and the managing director is supportive of these policies, but the cultural change, I think it would take time. People don't realize it, but it is a real threat. It's like a disease. Like it can happen anytime. So I would say that for me, organizational cultural change is a challenge. Acquiring tools and implementing those tools, but the organizational culture change is more difficult as a challenge than the other challenges.
And Shahab, sir, would you like to add anything here?
Yes, sure. So I just mentioned the cultural change, the mindset. This is truly the biggest hindrance when it comes to the information security. And what we observe, see, people probably, we like technology people or people in higher management and people who are in our executive management team, probably they are the less low end threat for my technology breach or information security breach. Who is the real, who could be my real, who could be a real disaster for me, for the organization or for my security landscape, could be the person who's sitting at the corner of a room, who is probably a T-boy, who is probably a person who is just doing the printing job, and he has a machine, who has an old operating system, who is just working on an outdated version of of some applications, and probably he'll get an email that you want this amount of price, and you just click on the link, and and just to check that specifically, he'll definitely click it, and his click will actually damage the whole brand value of my organization. So it is the culture, is the mindset, that how, so we know that being as a nation, we know that how to protect ourselves physically. Now it's a high time we should realize, we should learn, we should read, we should understand that how to protect ourselves digitally. And again, this is not with respect to the organization. That is something which I believe now is everyone's personal responsibility. We all are carrying one mobile phones which is containing multiple applications. Are we thinking before installation of any application that is it from the right vendor, is it from the right developer team, or maybe it is sometime XYZ developer who has no market reputation? I got many spam messages on WhatsApp that you got congratulations, you got KFC bucket, click on this and you got this amount of price on Eid al-Azha or in Ramzan. So and I just click on the tiny URL without thinking, and I'm like, okay, fine, this is just a white page. It has done nothing with me, right? But on the back end, I even don't know, probably it downloaded a utility of blockchain and it start crypto mining on my mobile phone using the compute of my device, right? So this is something which is not limited to the organization. Yes, we are talking in respect of organization, but now it's everyone's individual, and as a society, as a nation, as a digital family, it's our collective responsibility as well to create its awareness within the organization, at our workplaces, and yes, in society as well.
With this, I'd also like to just, as we come close to our to the end of our session, I wanted to talk a little bit about the improved experiences. Whether, of course, one is addressing the needs of consumers, it could be students, it could be patients, it could be field workers, or even office workers, it could be vendors. And so all of this is dramatically expected to improve, experiences in physical locations, and experiences enhanced through digital augmentation. We're looking at AI. We're looking at, a lot of now access to, robotics, machine learning, and other technologies that have really surfaced. Organizations that like yours that have established themselves as leaders in delivering, these optimized experiences in digitally optimized work, play, or like health spaces, for example, they've had a long-term advantage in capturing and retaining customer loyalty. Are there any, lessons learned here that you would like to share in terms of improving customer experience? Because that really is, as all of you talked about, as both of you talked about, a business continuity. That's an important element that's been previously highlighted as well.
I would not like, I'll try to answer your question, but the one thing that has happened is like we are living in an ecosystem. Like what happens in the ecosystem, like if a competitor or any application introduces some features, people or the customers or even our internal users give us the reference that this is available. Now, so and as Shahab has said earlier, there's the millennial generation that is using smartphones from their very childhood. Now they know much more about so they are demanding, like we have to come up with the expectations. Like if we make a application for a field worker, we have to address all his concerns, all his work. Otherwise, he won't adopt and use that application. He will say that it's simply adding to his work. So to enlighten his user experience, we have to have to like all his expectation has to be fulfilled by us. Otherwise, he does not adopt those applications. Like we have given a number of applications to our field force. So whatever is handy and whatever he can, the application could aid him in working, he requires us. But he wants those applications to make his work easy, make his work similar is the case of customers. They want their work easier, not it not add to their goals and there's more work to be done. So now we have to come up with those applications that are actually addressing their expectations. Then they would adopt. Earlier, we could use like our management enforcement policy and make them use those applications, but now the culture has changed. We have to come up to the expectations, and only those applications will be successful for a customer or internal customer or supplier that is benefiting them. It has to be a two-way process, that win-win situation for both the IT and for the our customers. Otherwise, adoption does not take place. It would be used for some time, and after, if there's a management change, they will stop using it. So the adoption would bring a cultural change also. If it becomes popular, everyone will support each other and say that we should use this. I could give an example of an application that we launched for our customers. We named it a Sahulat app so that it reflects our local culture. And when I was visiting a depot, a person sitting on a footpath, a truck driver was ordering outside the location, and he was when I asked him how do you use it, he couldn't answer my in a answerable language also, but he knew exactly how to navigate through the application, how to order, and he couldn't answer my question both in Urdu or in any language, but he could order. So that is the change that is brought in, and those who don't understand, they understand the numbers, they know how to enter they navigate how to navigate the app. So we are living in a different world now.
Thank you for your input. Shahab, is there anything you'd like to add to this in terms of?
So as just Moin sir mentioned, and as you mentioned at the very start of the question, that probably the success story or the case studies, I just want to mention and share a few examples. In the very start of our digital transformation journey, we come to know that our business hired two guys to compile a report, a financial report, which they're supposed to share on daily basis by 9:30 a.m. on the basis of whom the BET team sit together around 10 a.m. and they took decision and they do the strategic planning for the whole day. What we did, we get the data which was actually residing in SAP and just translate it into a dashboard. And this dashboard is now automated, and first they got email at 9:30 in the morning, and now we are shooting email after every 4 hours to the business, right? So after this change, which is a very, very small change, these two guys are now completely free from that laborious work, that work which is actually not adding any value in the business stream, and now they are doing something very productive. Same in my pharmaceutical team, we have a whole team whose responsibility is to collect the doctor's data from different sources, and after that they verify the data at different websites. Like one of them is Pakistan Medical Dental Council website, PMDC, whether this doctor is legit, do he or she has the legit PMDC number, and after that they incorporate into our system, and then on the basis of that they plan the meetings with our medical rep, these doctors, and then they calculate the fuel and calculate the remaining financials of that specific medical rep who's visiting him or her. What we did, we implemented RPA, we implemented robotic process automation. What now we are doing, we are getting the files from the respective sources, and my robotic process automation is opening the files one by one. It reads the files line by line, and it they will then go to the PMDC website automatically, and then it will verifying this whole process by its own self without any user intervention. So that is something which is creating real mean for value, real value for my business. That what is the digital transformation for them, and because of all these steps, a team of 4 guys are exactly now free, and again they are doing something valuable for the business. So the most important thing is that how we are adding value to our business stream, how we are increasing the customer experience, how we are bringing the quality, and how we can actually improve the overall digital value so that our business can flourish in much better way.
Thank you. So if there are any closing comments, I'd like to take them now. I would, of course, have you talk a little bit about the key industry trends and technologies that you think we should keep an eye on in 2022 and beyond. This is an exciting year globally, also with the launch of 5G and other things that are coming in. It's a fast-paced tech world that we're all a part of. But in your opinion, what are small and large organizations? Where are they headed? So just a closing comment as we wrap up.
Okay, for me, what we are looking forward is fintech for our company, and we want to increase our ecosystem through blockchain. Like we would like to bring in some blockchain and those apps. For these are the areas that we're looking to and working also, and we're doing some research also. And looking forward to enter this area. We feel that they have got a great future, and we would be investing in these areas so that we would diversify and get new avenues of revenue. So this is the area that we're looking forward.
Right. So for me, I think three core areas are here. First one is transformation of IT department into modern workplace. We should get rid of the old impression of IT, who's our legacy and old school impression, that it will just procure the keyboard, mouse, and laptops for us, provide the basic kind of support. So it should translate into modern workplace. The prime goal for year 22-23. Means I was smiling, I can feel the pain. So second is I'm looking forward for OT. So we have done enough with the IT, and now it's time to move with the OT. OT not in terms of service delivery, but information security as well. Because now when anyone will penetrate into our system, they will not only destroy the data, now they will try to shut down the plant. So this is the next war which we are going to face. It's a high time we should think about the OT and translate our IT dimensions into OT. And fintech and blockchain. Yeah. So these all are our futures where we are looking forward, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your valuable insights and contribution to today's session. This brings us to a close. Thank you, Shahab Sahab, and thank you, Moin Sahab, for taking out the time and joining us for today. With this, I'd just like to quickly, sort of summarize what we have been talking about and conversing with various industry leaders. This also because we were talking to 2 different people from various industry verticals, to talk about how they've, of course, successfully implemented work from home strategies, countered challenges that have come across after the digital transformation journeys that they've already gone through, and are currently also invested in technologies and processes to maintain their business operations throughout, pandemic lockdowns. Many organizations have, of course, reduced costs by having a portion of their workforce remaining working from home permanently, or, having that hybrid workforce. So there's been a lot of changes, and we've learned, we've taken some notes from today's session, and I hope that the rest of them also take away some valuable insights. Thank you once again, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Thank you, Shahab.